What is the great battle of Armageddon? Where can we put our lasting confidence in this trying crisis? Should we live in fear? And what is next for our world? I'm Brother Jericho for Truth in Bible Prophecy. Kindly like and share this urgent message to all. Friends, may this video encourage you and may your faith be bigger than your fears as I present to you, the Omega is coming. Another calamity occurred last December 11. At least 100 people were feared dead in Kentucky after a swarm of tornadoes tore a 200-mile path through the U.S. Midwest and South, demolishing homes, leveling businesses, and setting off a scramble to find survivors beneath the rubble. Powerful twisters, which weather forecasters says are unusual in cooler months, destroyed a candle factory and the fire and police station in a small town in Kentucky, ripped through a nursing home in neighboring Missouri, and killed at least 6 workers at an Amazon warehouse in Illinois. The genesis of the tornado outbreak was a series of overnight thunderstorms, including a supercell storm that formed in northeast Arkansas. That storm moved from Arkansas to Missouri and into Tennessee and Kentucky. Unusually high temperatures and humidity created the environment for such an extreme weather at this time of the year. President Joe Biden approved an emergency declaration for Kentucky. Biden, a strong supporter of Pope Francis' 7-year action plan Laudato Si', he told reporters he would be asking the Environmental Protection Agency to examine what role climate change may have played in fueling the storms. Some science experts believe that it will get worse as it approaches 2030s. Colorado University Environmental Sciences Chief Walid Abdalati expects stronger winds, more drought, more heavy downpours and floods. Abdalati said, "The kind of things we're seeing are no surprise to the scientific community that understands the rules and laws of physics." Who is behind all these disasters? What is the root cause of the unavoidable darkness we are experiencing now? And where are we headed? Should we live in fear? How do we understand these conflicts? As we look upon the flow of human history, it appears to be composed of naturalistic play and counterplay of human decisions and actions. But there are more to human events than meets the eye. Are there perhaps invisible forces which are writing a history behind history? We will see that the events of human history are merely visible shadows of an invisible conflict between Christ and Satan. That is to say, there is a history behind history. When Job suddenly lost his children, his possession, his wealth, his family, and his friends, who was causing these calamities? Job chapter 1 verse 12, "And the Lord said unto Satan, Behold, all that he hath is in thy power, only upon himself. Put not forth thine hand. So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord." Job's suffering on earth was caused by Satan, not God. The calamities which befell Job were not natural but supernatural. Who was the villain behind the villain King Herod to plot and destroy Jesus? Revelation 12 verse 7, it was the dragon Satan, that old serpent, the devil. Historical events in visible world are merely shadows of a greater cosmic battle between God and Satan in the world we cannot see. Any attempt, therefore, to study history merely from a human perspective is bound to be superficial and incomplete. Every time we analyze a historical event, we must look for the hidden agenda which led to that event. In the beginning, God wanted man to have dominion. Genesis chapter 1 verse 26. And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. Man was bequeathed two functions by God. First, he was to be king or ruler. Second, the realm of his authority was to be planet Earth. As a result of sin, man lost the right to rule and the planet was taken over by Satan. This is why Jesus called Satan the ruler of this world. John chapter 12 verse 31. On the Mount of Temptation, Satan promised Jesus on condition of worship. And the devil said to him, Luke 4 verse 6, all this authority I will give you, and the glory, for this has been delivered to me, and I give it to whomever I wish. Satan offered Jesus the two things which he had stolen from Adam at the beginning: kingship as a function and earth as a realm. When Adam was overcome by Satan, he became a subject of Satan's kingdom. A deliverer more powerful than Satan was then needed. Redemption promised by Jesus. Ominous words from God was spoken to Satan after he had led Adam and Eve into sin. Genesis 3 verse 15, and I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. He shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. God promised that he would send a seed, descendant, to the world to do battle with Satan. In the process of the battle, the seed would be wounded by Satan, but Satan's head in turn would be crushed. That is to say, the seed would recover that which Adam lost. Jesus, the promised seed, who would come to crush the serpent's head. Galatians 4 verse 4. But when the fullness of the time had come, God sent forth his Son, born of a woman, born under the law. What did Satan attempt to do to the seed of the woman when he was born? Revelation 12 verse 4. His tail drew a third of the stars of heaven and threw them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman who was ready to give birth, to devour her child as soon as it was born. Throughout the entire Old Testament period, Satan attempted to keep the seed from coming. After all, Satan's very existence was at stake. If he could keep the seed from coming, then his head could not be crushed. Satan did his utmost to uproot the holy line by trying to kill it and corrupt it. His methods can be clearly seen in Genesis chapter 4, where Satan was the power behind murdering Abel. Satan was behind the mingling of the sons of God with the daughters of men. In Noah's time, Genesis 6 1-4, Satan wanted to annihilate God's people in the story of Esther. The famine at Joseph's time, the several attempts which Saul made to kill David. In fact, the Old Testament in its entirety should be seen within the framework of the great controversy between God and Satan. God molding events to bring the seed into the world, and Satan trying to prevent it. Ruth chapter 1 verse 1-2. Elimelech and Naomi had two sons, Mahlon and Chilion, and there was a famine in the land. There can be no doubt that this famine was caused by Satan for a very specific purpose. The story of Joseph in Genesis 38-45 clearly indicates that it was Satan's intent to starve the ancestors of Christ to death. If Jacob's family could be starved to death, no seed could come. Thus Joseph explained to his brothers, and God sent me before you to preserve a posterity for you in the earth, and to save your lives by a great deliverance. So now it was not you who sent me, but God. And he has made me a father to Pharaoh, and lord of all his house, and a ruler throughout all the land of Egypt. Genesis 45:7-8. It appears that Satan saw something special in the family of Elimelech. He somehow knew that God had special plans for this family. So he caused the famine which removed them from Bethlehem and forced them to immigrate to Moab. The very essence of the book of Ruth is in chapter 4 verse 17. The name of Ruth's child and the significant person descended from him is Jesus Christ. Matthew chapter 1 verse 5. Salmon begot Boaz by Rahab. Boaz begot Obed by Ruth. Obed by Jesse, and Jesse begot David the king. Revelation 22 verse 16, I am the root and the offspring of David, the bright and morning star. Jesus is both the son of David and the father of David. He is the father of David because he is God. He is the son of David because he is man. Satan could not prevent and stop Jesus, the seed, from saving mankind. From beginning to end of Bible history, calamities and pestilence is Satan's workshop to inflict fear in the final days. He imparts to the air a deadly taint, and thousands perish by the pestilence. He will bring disease and disaster unto populous cities are reduced to ruin and desolation. Even now, he is at work. As Satan wants to instill fear in our hearts, the devil wants to deceive and discourage you. But God does not want us to live in fear in these final days. For God had not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. In accidents and calamities by sea and by land, in great conflagrations, in fierce tornadoes and terrific hailstorms, in tempest, floods, cyclones, tidal waves, and earthquakes, in every place and in 1,000 forms. And Satan's favorite playground, violence and threats. The Roman Empire did not accomplish the work of eradicating the followers of Jesus, because the more Christians die, the more they multiply. So Satan raised up another power, a persecuting power that will bring a tsunami of deception to the world, and the world will bow and worship. Daniel and John the Revelator prophesied about the rise of the Antichrist, a power that will claim to change times and laws, a power that will claim to change times and law, and he will claim to have the solution for climate change that we are facing right now. He will unite the world into one world worship as a supposed solution for climate change. The papal Antichrist will get powerful support from USA and apostate Protestantism and other religions. Kindly watch my other video, America Will Soon Speak as a Dragon. Revelation 17 verse 9. Now the great city was divided into 3 parts. Cities of the nations fell, and great Babylon was remembered before God. And they gathered together into a place called in Hebrew Armageddon. Armageddon is the fall of Babylon and resulting in the second coming of Jesus. Armageddon is not a military battle among nations to be fought somewhere in the Middle East between Israel and Palestine, but a global spiritual battle in which Christ decisively confronts the forces of darkness. And the outcome of the battle of the Armageddon will be total destruction of the counterfeit trinity, the dragon, the Antichrist beast, and apostate Protestantism USA. And the end of it all, Jesus is victorious. Pestilence, tornado, fires all combined is nothing compared to the cataclysmic great earthquake of Revelation 16 that will sink the islands. The saved will not perish, for they will meet Jesus in the air, safe and secure from all alarms, while the wicked destroyed by the brightness of his coming. Friends, amidst the catastrophes and suffering we are facing today, even though the world is filled with fear, the best is yet to come. Jesus will return and set up a kingdom that will never be destroyed. Let your faith be bigger than your fears. Kindly type in the comment section, I only fear God. If you fear God, you will not fear anything else in this life. Trust and obey God, friends, and may we all continue to seek truth in Bible prophecy.